What is up, Revved Up Rebel Nation? We are back for another episode of Revved Up with Ram Thorburn, and it looks like you guys are already going ham in the comment section here. We got True Grave. Wow, finally not late and gay. You're finally on time and super straight. Good to have you in here, buddy. And Tracy James, the Revved Up Rebel Nation stalwart, back in here. Says, so I'm early this time. Yes, you are, True Grave. Let's see. True Grave said, oh, you guys just been chatting it up in here, huh? I got Mike the Mugger in here. What is up, dude? Good to have you back in here, man. We got some shit to talk about today. The left is going off the fucking rails. Cuba is singing for freedom, and America is on the dark path towards a dystopian future. We are looking more and more like some mashed-up amalgamation of Fahrenheit 451, Brave New World, and 1984. It is really all coming together as all the dystopian novels told us it would. They are bringing that shit to life. True Grave says it's almost like Alex Jones was right about the gay agenda when he said about that about 10 years ago. Oh, dude, I mean, we almost have like a gay police state. I mean, they're basically forcing the kids to go gay, trans the kids. No, we just want to have gay marriage. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to redefine marriage for us, but that's all we want. We just want equal rights because we're also gonna redefine rights to include an ancient institution that's not actually a right, but. That's all we want. That's all we want. Just gay marriage. No, now trans the kids. Now rainbow dildo butt monkey. Now, holy fuck, we're gonna be covering that in just a minute here. Oh my god. The crazy thing is, that's not even the most disgusting thing to come out in the last couple days. That's not even the most disgusting. So we're gonna be getting into all this shit coming up. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up with you guys. Talking here. Who else we got in here? If you're in here and you're in the chat, say what up. We got Zach Horton in here. What is up, Zach? Good to have you in here. Good to see you. We got JK Bookie 127. I think you are new here. Welcome to the Revved Up Rebel Nation. Glad to have you here. Good evening to you as well. Did I see that we had Shelly Chell in here? I think I did. I'm trying to find... Oh, there she is. Hey. What is up? How are you guys doing today? Now, I know I said on Saturday that this week I was going to get back to the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. I apologize. It is going to be Tuesday, Saturday once again this week. I apologize. I completely forgot. It's my fucking birthday tomorrow. And so I'm going to be busy the next couple days. So I completely forgot that I had that coming up because I don't usually typically care all that much about it, except for the fact that I am going to be making my world-famous Nashville hot chicken. So can't wait for some of that. We got Darrell in here. What up? The Alabaster that says rainbow dildo butt monkey is a phrase I never thought I'd heard uttered. Yeah, let alone from the headlines of conservative news outlets. But I got another name for it, which I'm going to get to in just a minute when we cover the story. Yeah, rainbow dildo butt monkey. Who would have ever thought that would have been a thing? Whitney Rowe is in here. What is up, Whitney Rowe? Good to have you back. And Barracuda says Dildos for Toys program was a flop. Holy shit, Barracuda. Uncouth. That is uncouth. Holy shit, you guys are insane. How are y'all doing today? I do have a little bit more Clown World commentary than I've had the last couple shows. I've got some new stuff. I try not to get too repetitive with a lot of it, and a lot of it does seem to be the same old, like just same old shit from the left, talking about the pronouns, talking about all kinds of Marxist nonsense, insanity, using their clinical terminology that makes no fucking sense whatsoever, just multisyllabic word salads dumped across our brains like us stupid plebs are going to be outsmarted by all the syllables. We're not that fucking dumb. We're not that fucking dumb. We can tell exactly what is nonsense and what is not. We got the coolest nerd in here. Says, wait, this isn't AA? Oh, well, I guess I'll grab a beer and hang out. Get some whiskey. Let's get some whiskey. Old man, what is up? Says, happy birthday. Thank you very much, old man. Good to have you back here, too. Man, I love the Revved Up Rebel Nation. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Who else we got in here? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get going here on, hold on, I'm still following the chat. It says, Tracy James says, today I want to be addressed as the coolest Brooklyn girl ever. I don't know what competition you would even have. I mean, who else would take that title from you? You absolutely are the coolest Brooklyn girl ever. I don't know why that would even be up for debate. So let's see. True Grave says, yeah, but it's not a funny butt monkey. It's the kind you want to throw in a wood chipper. You guys are really into the wood chipper thing recently. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, this kind of thing. This is what happens when the left becomes completely unconstrained. This is what happens when we have such cowardice that we are not able to enforce any moral standards or societal social standards whatsoever. We end up with this nonsense. We got JG Mopar in here. Says, what up? Hello, Ram. Hello, all. Welcome back, JG Mopar. Darrell says, man, I found a Marxist flyer at my job site, hit him up on Instagram, and now I'm waiting for him to show up. I'm thinking about just punching on him for Cuba. Yes. Yes. Love it. Man, all right, let's see. King Kong has got to go. I've got another name for him, which I'm trying to save till I actually go through this story. But actually, all right, you know what? I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm just going to get to it because I cannot keep suppressing the name that I have for this, because I shared this story on my Gab account, which is I've been trying to be more active on my social media, posting news links and stuff like that recently. So, but yeah, Gab is my favorite. And so I posted this story on the Gab the other day, and somebody responded. They said, what species is that? And I mean, I didn't even have to think about it. The answer just hit me like that. This is Phagalunus bambunus. This is Phagalunus bambunus right here. So library, and I'm sure you guys have already seen this. This. I'm not breaking any news for you guys. This has been out for a couple days. Oh, Chelly Chell says, I keep forgetting to make a Gab. You got to get on Gab. Gab's the shit. Whitney Rose says, wow, that's disgusting. Is this your first time seeing this, Whitney? Because this is, yeah. So the library apologized, but a promo for the event clearly showed a grown adult in a rainbow monkey costume with a swinging phallus between their legs. And look, you even see like the nipple holes cut out. I mean, and then also the bare ass exposed. This is Phagalunus bambunus right here. So a man dressed in a rainbow monkey costume with his butt exposed and a large dildo hanging between his legs was part of an event to encourage kids to read. I mean, I just imagine any time other than right now. I mean, if you were to rewind the clock even just one single decade, this person is in prison. This person is in prison, yet this person is being hired. This person is being hired to come speak to kids. You would be arrested for just walking out on the street like this. And I mean, God, go back to the founding. I mean, go back to think back to anything before the sexual revolution and what would have happened if somebody went out like this. That you would have had. I probably shouldn't even say the term on here. Let's just say a rope and a pickup truck. You know, that is likely what would have happened. Oh, man, it would not have been good. It would not have been good. But for some reason, we have degraded and demoralized ourselves to the point where all of a sudden this is somehow fucking acceptable. Oh, we got Robert Whaley in here. Says, what's up, Ram? What is up, Raw Dog? Good to have you back in here. Let's see. So the Redbridge Library's Summer Reading Challenge left parents confused and outraged after the Rainbow Monkey Man in a buttless suit read to kids the dildo swinging freely from his genital area. Why do I have to read these sentences in the news? Why is this even a thing? It is because we have absolute cowardice in imposing our will. And this, the left does this to really great effect. They impose their will, and we, on the right, we have been too overrun by this libertarian mindset that, you know, all that matters is whatever consenting adults. No. Libertarianism, just a running roughshod libertarian basis is how you get to the idea where an organized left will run roughshod over you. We have to actually take any power that we have and exert it over people. We cannot be such pacifists in the war for our culture. Let's see. Whitney Rose says, back in my day, we just use AR/accelerated reading to encourage reading. Anything to push anything to push perversions, I guess. Yeah, that's just, this is perversion. This is the perversion of kids. It's the corruption of kids. It is the it's actually really goes down to the root of a usurpation of the family structure, because these people are trying to intentionally put towards your kids things that you would disapprove of. They are trying to usurp your ability to control what your kids consume and what they actually take part in their life. And we saw that with the whole Gay Men's Choir thing, where they said, we're coming for your kids. And they come out and say, oh, no, these people don't understand humor. They don't understand tongue-in-cheek. Motherfucker, I just did a show one day before that came out where you had network executives from all of these children's programming talking about how they intentionally have been hiring LGBT people to put this stuff in our children's programming. And we see it at the school level, at the academic level. They are teaching really graphic sexual education to fucking kindergartners and first graders. And you're going to tell me that that's a joke? No, this stuff is actually happening. I mean, it would almost be like if a certain group of German people came out singing a song about wanting to eradicate a certain race of people and said, oh, come on, guys, it was tongue-in-cheek. We're just kidding. No, because it's actually fucking happening. You're actually doing it. You're telling us, and then you're hiding behind a veil of comic relief that doesn't exist because it's what your actual agenda entails. All right, sorry, I'm getting revved the fuck up today. This stuff pisses me off. Let's see. The coolest nerd says, true, just look at the Libertarian Party right now. It's full of commies. Oh, yeah. I mean, fucking Joe Jorgensen, the person that were running for president in the Libertarian Party in 2020, came out and said, it's not enough to not be racist. You must actively be anti-racist. First of all, it's a Marxist, a neo-Marxist, cultural Marxist agenda proposition, but also, when the fuck did the Libertarian Party start telling you what you had to do? So, yeah, it's absolutely been overrun by these people where libertarianism and libertinism have come together to form the modern fucking left. Let's see. Oh, shit, Robert Whaley says, having chest pains, not as bad. Blood pressure came down a good bit. Well, that's good. Glad to hear you're doing better. I didn't realize anything was wrong. I hope you're doing all right there, buddy. Let's see. Tracy James says, plus some of the members are pedos. So, I mean, the left are pedos, the left are pedos, the left are pedos. Repeat after me, ladies and gentlemen. The left are pedos, the left are pedos, the left are pedos. It is just, whenever they come out and they say that the right are white supremacists, racists, bigots, homophobes, this and that, all we need to respond is the left are pedos. We need to start saying that line as frivolously and as on repeat, like a broken fucking record. The left are pedos. We need to instill that in people's minds, because with this stuff coming out, they're the ones pushing that. This is all the left, and they are pushing it. They are talking about coming for our kids. They are putting dildo, butt monkey, fagaloonist, bamboonist coming out after your fucking kids. No, the left are fucking pedos. Let's see. True Grave says, honestly, I would argue this is a violation of that of the NAP. You don't have the right to violate my kids. Oh, non-aggression principle. I got you. You don't have a right to violate my kids in this manner. No, you don't. But I mean, even still, the non-aggression principle, it's. I agree with it in theory, but when you also get overrun by pacifism, you will get overtaken by the warlike nature of the left. That all they do is wage war on anybody who is not a soldier for them. So the pacifists, essentially the non-aggression principle people, they essentially get overrun by these people. It cannot withstand it. We actually have to have some sort of galvanized force to stand up against these people, and we have to have the testicular fortitude to actually do so. Let's see. All right, so let me get back to this. So the Red Bridge Libraries, okay, so I already read that part. Yeah, and I'm going to play this just because we need, I think there's music in the background, so let me, we don't need to have the music playing. But, I mean, just look at this. Guy comes running out. And look at that. He's just shaking it in the streets. Like, what the fuck? And so Someone needs to lose their job over this, one parent said, while another was shocked, saying, "This is unbelievable. Have we completely lost our moral compass as a society?" Yeah, we clearly have. We've clearly lost our moral compass. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody in America has lost their moral compass, but the actual forces, the actual influential powers in this society, they haven't just lost their moral compass, they have taken a baseball bat to the moral compass, because we have somehow ceded all of the cultural ground to the left. And this happened this happened from conservatives all the way back. I couldn't even really tell you from where it begins. Probably the 1950s. We started ceding all the cultural ground to the left. I guess really starting with the 60s and the Cultural Revolution. We started saying, oh, well, the culture doesn't really matter. Let them do their thing, and we'll just try to keep the policies. No, but all of this shit runs downstream. Me and Don the Pleb often argue about Andrew Breitbart's whole politics downstream of culture. I kind of think it's more one hand washes the other. The culture will allow the politics to do certain things, and then the politics will push the culture to allow the next thing. So I think they really go hand in hand. But so says here, the library did apologize, but not until after photos and videos emerged online showing the furry pornographic reading in the library. Look at that thing. That's around your kids. So in one photo, the man can be seen exposing his butt while seemingly twerking on a bench. Dr. Jane here says, can a word capture the spirit of an age? Images certainly can. In future, we will think back on the zeitgeist of 2021 and may remember Rainbow Dildo Butt Monkey and wonder how on earth we descended into thinking this was suitable entertainment for children. I'm here in 2021 currently, and I do not think this is suitable. I don't think this is suitable for fucking anywhere. Keep it in your home. In fact, you know what? Let's ban this shit from your home, too. Let's just ban the shit from the home, too. We need to really start putting our foot down. Man. So the library's apology came shortly after a backlash erupted online. They wrote that during an event put on by the library today, there was a performance by a carnival arts company. Unfortunately, one of the animal costumes was inappropriate, which we were not aware of at the time of booking. We deeply apologize for the offense caused. This is being looked into. Now, you can tell that this is disingenuous because they're saying we didn't know at the time of booking. Okay, understandable. You didn't know what this company was going to do. But when somebody walked through the fucking door wearing that thing and somebody didn't jump up and say, get him the fuck out of here. Arrest that man. That never happened. So they saw it and they allowed it to continue. So this apology, this half-ass, disingenuous, fake apology should not be accepted. This is not an all forgiven type situation. You saw it and you allowed it to happen. You allowed it to go through the motions. No, anybody with any sort of shred of decency, with any sort of shred of moral guidance, would have looked at that and said, no, this is not happening in here. Get that the fuck out of here. And they would have gotten rid of everybody. They would have canceled the entire event. They would have said, no, I don't trust this company. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust that person in the fucking frog costume. I don't trust whoever the other thing was that started prancing around all fucking gay-like. I don't care. All of them, get them the fuck out of here. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So they say here, during an event put, okay, so we already read that. So however, when they promoted the event, they were shameless about it. They said that the meddlesome monkey made a visit to the Good Maze library along with Royal Strawberry and Flamboyant Frog, and that these characters would soon head your way. So now I don't even believe that they didn't know what this fucking thing was, and this isn't even the first library that it came out of. How did it perform at it? I'm gonna call it it. I'm not gonna call it I don't know what the fuck it is. How did it perform at the Good Maze library and not make news? Were there not parents there that took pictures and spread it on social media? Because this shit spread like wildfire. So another library commented on the post saying that it was a shock when the monkey turned around, to which the Red Bridge Library replied, even more shockingly, I know, monkey is out of control, with a laughing emoji, but when you got it, flaunt it, I suppose. So they knew. Not only did they know, they thought it was funny. They thought this was funny to bring around to little kids to teach them how to read. So they're absolutely full of shit. You can see it right here. Right here. And they're sitting there laughing. Exeter Library. That was a shock when the monkey turned around. And you can see that they're all just laughing about it. And did you catch Mandinga Arts? Mandinga Arts? What? Holy shit. The arts group Mandinga Arts also apologized, saying that they apologized for the offense caused while raising awareness for the reading campaign by Redbridge Libraries on July 10th. No. You don't get to throw it back in our face that, oh, you were trying to raise awareness for reading. No. Do not try to use your stated intentions to soften the blow that you were just practicing very predatory behavior against minors. No. That does not fly. That does not fly. We're not that fucking stupid. So, we never intended to offend residents, they said, of the man in the monkey costume who swung his dildo around both inside the library and outside as part of the promotion. That's not true. They were definitely being provocative. They were definitely trying to provoke a reaction. Well, guess what? You fucking got it. So, we respect everyone's individual opinion and no offense to any part. This is no individual opinion. This is absolute objective truth. That was inappropriate. That was predatory. That was foul. That was disgusting. This isn't an individual opinion. It's not like some parents are going to look at it and be like, well, that's okay for my kid. Who the fuck would say that? And if anybody does, call CPS. Call CPS. Child Protective Services needs to get involved with that parent right away. So, anyways, the library also featured a drag queen story hour event earlier this year. So they're not new to this sort of predatory behavior where they have sexual deviants come in and talk to kids. This is par for the course with them. It's par for the fucking course. It's really, I mean, so disgusting. So disgusting. Let's see. What are you guys saying in here? Whitney Rose says it was totally premeditated. Absolutely. They knew what was going on from the jump. There was no like, ooh, whoops, sorry, didn't know. No, none of that shit. Barracuda says, yeah, bear attack would be immediate. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And those bears attack lethally. Let's see. Whitney Rose says, our county would be okay with this guarantee. Ooh. What? That's Loudoun County, right? If I remember correctly. Oops, I got already live editing. I don't know how to do all this. Yeah, well, Loudoun County's at least fighting. I mean, you got parents in Loudoun County that are fighting back. Oh, what did I just do? I don't know what I just did. My shit's going all haywire. But here's the thing. That doesn't seem to even be the most disgusting thing that's come out over the last couple days. Now, you guys are going to hate me for this, and I apologize ahead of time that I'm going to play this video, but we really need to see how far our society has tumbled. This is the most disturbing thing. So, let's scroll up to the top here. So a trans man, which is a woman pretending to be a man, gives birth to a baby, and a trans woman, which is a man pretending to be a woman, unsuccessfully tries to nurse it. I'm done, guys. I'm out. See ya. Holy shit. So the baby has been able to latch, Patrona tells the camera as Ahanu looks on silently. But I've not been able to produce any milk. It's because you're a fucking man. Oh my God. Chili Chell says, I have seen and heard these LGBTQ people actively going after black males. I mean, dude, the LGBTQ, I'm out of patience with them. I'm out of patience. I'm really at the point where it's like, all right, guys, y'all got to go back in the closet now. You know, we did everything that we could to try to invite you into polite society, and all you proved is that you don't belong in polite society. These people do not belong in polite society. When you are acting like this child, I mean, let me just play this video, because this child, I'm not even sure how it is alive. Hold on, I got to live edit again. I keep messing everything up here. Shit. Let me see here. Oops, give me just a second here. Gotta live edit. All right. Well, hold on. It's acting up on me. Just a second. Oh, I don't know what I need to do. Here we go. Now let me zoom in. Just a second, guys. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see. The Alabaster says, imagine using your own child to live out your fetish. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. JG Mopar says, they are demented individuals with psychological issues. Yeah, these people should not have children. These people should not have children. They are mentally ill. Like I said, you guys are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to play the video because we really need to see the absolute grotesque reality of what this leftism is dragging us towards. So a family featured on 9 Months with Courtney Cox. God, Courtney Cox has, why you showing this shit, promoting this shit, has thoroughly switched gender roles. The baby suckles Patrona, a two-spirit Nahua trans woman, while what the Biden administration would call the birthing person, Ahanu, a two-spirit Kainai non-binary trans masculine person, looks on. What the fuck language are they speaking? We got another asshole in here, says somewhere a wood chipper is sitting unused for just the 9 month. Holy shit. You guys are really into the wood chippers these days, and not sure I blame you. But anyways, I'm sorry guys, I gotta do this to you. It's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes. I hate it.
In Washington, D.C., a Hanu must give birth without their midwife present.
It's happening in the home, not even
the baby! Oh my god! I don't know what to do.
Keep it underwater until it's all the way out, okay?
Oh no, they're trying to come out.
It's okay, baby.
They're completely out. Can I bring them out?
Yes.
Oh my god, they're so beautiful. But the cord. Oh no.
Come.
Oh no.
It's okay, baby.
Okay. Can you do it? I'm moving.
Here, can you help me lift up my leg? Oh my gosh.
They're so cute.
Are they breathing?
Are they breathing? They're not even sure.
I don't hear any crying, and that starts to raise the blood pressure. Like, I know I should be hearing them cry by now. Come on, babe. Put them on me. You're rubbing them on their back. Roll them and rub them right their back. Come on, babe.
Finally, it makes a sound.
The first sound my baby makes is just, it feels earth-shattering. Like, if I weren't already sitting down, it would have me on my knees. But it felt really, really good to finally hear them.
The man.
Not having everyone that I had selected be there during the birth of the baby, and then me continuing to do this by myself anyway, there's a lot of validation there. In the end, I didn't have all that I thought that I would, but I had all the support that I actually needed.
It was very inspiring to see Hanu do something that they were not sure they were going to be able to do. I just felt really thankful for Hanu for creating our family.
They don't even have a fucking bed. People live in squalor.
The baby has been able to latch, but I've not been able to produce any milk. It's okay because we're gonna supplement the feeding with formula so that my baby's still getting the nutrients that they need, but I'm still feeling hopeful. I appreciate you so much for all your work.
And I appreciate you also, baby. I couldn't have done it without you.
I mean, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? That, I mean, listen to how both of them talk, too. Listen to how both of them talk. This kid does not stand a chance. I mean, you've got a man who thinks it's a woman and a woman who thinks it's a man, switching gender roles, playing around. The father gives birth to the child, and the mother tries to breastfeed it despite the fact that it's a man who doesn't produce fucking milk. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God, this poor kid. Like, I'm telling you, this kid does not have a chance in life. This kid, I hate to say it, is going to be a statistic before they graduate high school. I can almost guarantee that. Oh, we got Tessie and Rousseau in here. Yeah, it says poor kid. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Zach Horton says, yes, drink the soy and HFCS. Yeah. Yeah. J.G. Mopar says, that's right, Mr. Garrison. Yeah. Yeah, Chelly Cho, you can't make milk. Yeah, so why are they, I mean, and of course they call the child a they. They call the child they, so they're raising the kid to have no gender. This kid is going to grow up not knowing his left foot from his right hand. I mean, he's going to grow up knowing absolutely nothing. Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. Oh, we got Deborah Ellison here. What is up, Deborah? Good to have you in here. Man, this is absolute fuckery right here. Child Protective Services needs to come in. They need to take this fucking baby away. And these people, back in the 80s, and this is I think in retrospect, this is the biggest mistake Ronald Reagan ever made, was closing down the asylums. These people are not mentally fit. They're not mentally fit to raise a baby. They're not mentally fit to really be in free society. I mean, look at the squalor that they're living in too. It looks like they're just on a blow-up mattress or something on the ground. I mean, let me read that. Oh, sorry, shit. I keep going back with the live editing. Let me reread this sentence one more time, describing who these people are. So, we have Patrona, a two-spirit Nahua trans woman, while what the Biden administration would call the birthing person, Ahanu, a two-spirit Kainai non-binary trans-masculine person. These are the parents. These are the parents. This is child abuse. This is child abuse as a nation, to let children grow up like this. Child abuse as a nation. Man, it is. JG Mopar said I have to run downstairs and bleach the shit out of my eyes. And here's that. I know. I'm surprised all of you didn't just unsubscribe from my channel permanently for showing you guys that. But we have to stare the ugliness down. We have to be able to identify it. We have to be able to see it. We have to be able to know exactly what the fuck is going on, because we got to be able to say, no, this should be illegal. Write your congressman, write your senators, say this right here should be illegal. Yeah, the Alabaster says, what does that mean in English? I don't fucking know. I mean, see, and this is also, it's really interesting because this is also what you get, going back to the whole idea about libertarians. This is what you get when you have such an atomized sense of individualization. Because the left engages in this completely atomized sense of the individual, that every single person is their own, unique little snowflake. They become these things that, they create all these different labels for themselves because they hate to be labeled as anything normal, because they have to be so hyper individualistic that they don't belong to anything. And then what happens then is you have the neo-Marxists and the communists end up just sweeping them all up into a little box and creating some sort of amalgam, some sort of monolithic representation for them. But this really does go hand in hand with the hyper-libertarian ideals. The hyper-libertarian ideals will always end up being remolded and reshaped by authoritarians, by leftists, by Marxists. We really need to get back to the ideas that matter are the family structure, the family unit, the localized community, not the community in the communist sense, like we're all the same, we're all one. No, but the community that you live in. We need to stop atomizing everybody down to, our own little, like, fucking chaotically flying around electrons. Bear says, behold, the birth of the LGBT Messiah, kneel to Zer. Oh, my God. Well, Libs at TikTok, we got this coming out. This is the same sort of ideas that are promoting this stuff. I mean,
instead of using the typical mom and dad parent titles, there's actually gender-neutral and non-binary parent titles that exist. It can be hard for parents within the LGBT.
Anybody else get really tired of the leftists that do this? They're trying to really sweetly inform you of something that, you can learn about this, and I have the answers for. No, you're some fucking child who knows nothing about the world, who is going to push this idea because you don't have any sort of sense of how to reconcile all the bullshit that you spew.
QIA plus community to find a word that they feel comfortable being addressed as by their children. So here are some examples. Dama, Mada, Maddie, Madi, Mappa, Nini, Nopa, Nori, Opa, Pere, Pom Pom, Zaza, and Zizi. You can find more examples on the website listed above. I would also like to say I can...
Yeah, no thank you. You can go fuck yourself. It's mom and dad. Mom and dad or any variation of that. You're not gonna... They're pushing this not... Again, this whole thing is an attack on the family. This whole thing, that is what the whole transgenderism idea is about, because you go all the way back to the beginning of our understanding of Western civilization. The biblical stories. Whether it's Gilgamesh, whether it's Genesis, whether it's any of these stories that go back all the way into our history. It all starts with the idea of sexual difference. And if you can override the idea of sexual difference, if you can override the idea that a man and a woman are different and have two different roles to play, then you can override anything. And we all know that is what Marxism is really all about. It's about the destabilization of a culture's traditions and norms. And it is always catered to fit exactly whatever culture or tradition it is trying to destroy in order to envelop it into this revolutionary sense of Marxism. Let's see. JG Mopar says, I pay no attention to those idiots. Yeah, the problem is that other people will. We have to start paying attention to these idiots because we have to start calling them out. We have to start telling them to shut the fuck up. We need to start stupid shaming them. We need to continue to stupid shame. That's why I cover this stuff on this channel, is because we need to stupid shame these people so that they shut the fuck up and they abandon these ideas, and that we ridicule them so that it's socially unacceptable. That's why we can't just ignore them. We have to go after them. We have to fight with the same vigor that the left fights us on. So... Tessie and Rousseau says libertarians are not trying to change the language. Look, I understand. Look, I mean, I'm not saying no libertarian ideas are good, but the libertarianism, when taken to its logical conclusion, does come down to the full atomization of the individual. There's no sense of community, culture, and tradition baked into the cake of libertarianism. A society that is going to thrive and exist needs to have some sort of cohesive culture that it develops around. Otherwise, you're going to end up with all of these people, like I said, just electrons bouncing off of each other. It's pure chaos, and you don't have a society. Opportunists, which, I've said many times on this channel, there's two types of leftists, opportunists and useful idiots. The opportunists will always come in and they will manipulate those people because they don't have any sort of core traditions and customs to fall back upon. So, let's see. Chelly Chell says, notice many of these are on TikTok. The Chi-Coms must be laughing their asses off. Oh, God, yeah, you're telling me. The Chi-Coms, what is it's? I think they have a term. I think it's called Baitswa. They call the white leftist Baitswa. I think that's what it is. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. It's something along those lines. But yeah, they use it as a derogatory term to make fun of these people that come out and they talk like this, because these people are, I mean, I wouldn't even say that they're real communists. I call them fashcoms. But real communism isn't about all this gender bullshit. Real communism is about class struggles and that kind of thing. But they use this Gramscian westernized Marxism as a way to because the class societies were not so easy to manipulate. There was more even distribution of wealth. There was more freedom and upward mobility in Western civilization. They were not able to engender the same Bolshevik style revolution that they were in like Tsarist Russia or places like Yugoslavia, other places in Eastern Europe that had more authoritarian constructs in their governments. And the West also had a very sound cultural backing, which was rooted in the Christian ideals that inform Western civilization. And so in order to get the West to go along with Marxism, what they had to do was they had to destabilize all of those systems. So they had to go from what Gramsci called a war of movement, which would be like a Bolshevik-style violent revolution, to a war of position, which is where you infiltrate cultural institutions. A war position means you take over the positions of influence and you destabilize, you demoralize, and then you have a period of normalization. You have a period where everything just kind of falls apart, nobody cares anymore, and then you have stabilization, which is when they come in and they wrap everything up, which is kind of actually I forgot, you also have to have an era of crisis. So you have an era of crisis. So you have the destabilization. Then that's followed by just kind of a phase of apathy, and then you have a crisis, and then you have the stabilization, which is when the communists come and they shore up all of their positions of power. Which, if you start looking at where we are today, you actually we're kind of in that stabilization phase. The crisis, we just had that with the crisis of COVID. You know, they used COVID as a crisis, and now the other crisis that they're using is January 6th, which they're basically turning into the burning of the Reichstag building, where they then use that as a way to villainize all of their political opposition so they can shore up all of their political power into one centralized core group. And then likely we're going to get into this a little bit because we're going to get into this actually in detail later, what's going on with the with the amalgamation of power that's been happening in Washington, D.C. ever since the Biden administration took office. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But anyways, next, let's see. All right. Just on a little lighter note, I don't understand what is with all these leftists getting their COVID vaccines and then making songs based on the movie Frozen. Why are they all using Frozen? But this is probably the worst of them all.
It's vaccination day. It's vaccination day. It's time for vaccine shot number 2. I've got my mask with Pikachu, but I am running 7 minutes late. I hope they'll jab me anyway. I really want this shot today. Now my fear of COVID can abate. I'll see actual real-life people. It'll be totally strange. Wow, am I so ready for this change. And for the first time in forever, I'll emerge from my lockdown. For the first time in forever, I'll go catch Pokemon downtown. My right-wing friends might think I'm crazy for being cautious all along, but for the millionth time in forever, I'm pretty sure they're wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure you would not be able to identify a vagina out of a lineup of human body parts. That's what I'm pretty sure of. That's what I'm pretty sure of. This man has never gotten any pussy. Holy shit. Holy shit. First of all, the singing was the worst singing I'd ever heard. Who would actually record this of themselves and say, yeah, I'm going to put this out to the world? What the fuck? Gee. Oh, my God. Let's see. Whitney Rose says, yeah, it brings tears to my eyes to see how much Cuba and Hong Kong respect America. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Cuba in just a minute here. We're going to be talking about Cuba because that's big news right now. That is big news. Charlie Chell says Cubans and people from Hong Kong have more respect for America than the American left. Yeah, I honestly, I think a cockroach has more respect for America than the American left. I think the American left actively despises America. I mean, hell, we saw people come out just the other day and start talking about how the American flag is a symbol of racism and white supremacy. Let's see. Whitney Rose says, ruining a cartoon. There goes the perversion again. Exactly. The Alabaster says, pretty he doesn't go for women anyway. Pretty sure he doesn't go for women anyways. Yeah, I don't think he does. Now, this one, I take personal offense to this one. I saw this one and I said, no fucking way. I took personal offense to this. Don't you ever call me fucking Ram Self. Don't you ever call me Rams or oh my God. Fuck you. Jesus. Let's see. The True Grave says, I think you're blaming libertarianism for what the communists are doing in the name of libertarianism. We call them Lobertarian. You call the communist separation conservative... the communist separation of conservatives, neocons. Okay, that's a fair point. And look, I'm not trying to bash all libertarians. I used to consider myself a libertarian. I don't anymore. I still think that there is a problem with atomization within the Libertarian Party, and I do think that it runs a little more libertine than I really approve of these days. But at the end of the day, I understand that there are. Because that's the thing with libertarians is you can have right-leaning libertarians and left-leaning libertarians. It can kind of be. It's so subjective. Libertarian, it's too broad of a term, really. Let's see. The Alabaster says furries should be hunted for sport, but they do not turn my name into a set of fucking pronouns. Fuck you. This is mental. Yeah. What in the mental illness? Libs of TikTok got it right. What in the mental illness? The Coolest Nerd says, if you refer to yourself as they, I am going to assume I'm talking to a legion of demons and try to cast them out of your body in the name of Jesus. Yes, I approve of that message. Yes, a legion of demons. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, I guess you... all right, so anyways. Now, I did... Okay, actually, hold on. I have one more thing. So, one more thing, a Clown World commentary before I actually start talking about some of the real-world consequences of all of this leftist bullshit. So, Ontario's new curriculum claims math normalizes racism. We've heard this before. This is not new. They've been saying math is racist for a while. And the reason why math is racist to them is because there is an objective truth to it. There is an objectively right or objectively wrong answer. And how do you destabilize people's understandings if things are black and white and objective, whether things are right or wrong? You have to be able to subjectivize everything and undercut any sort of informed understanding that people have of anything. Because according to the communists, according to Marx himself, and hell, according to Hegel, who was Marx's biggest influence, there is no such thing as objective truth. But math is the place where objective truth really cannot be undercut. So when you try to hear the way that they rationalize this, you realize it's just a whole bunch of this multisyllabic nonsense. It's this multisyllabic word salad. So the 2021 Grade 9 curriculum for Ontario's math program depicts math as a subjective method that normalizes racism and reinforces Eurocentric mathematical knowledge. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? I mean, if it's... Okay, so you can even see right there. It depicts it as a subjective method. Wait, hold on. It's supposed to be an objective method. And that's their problem with it. So the curriculum, which can be found on the Ontario government's website, states mathematics is too often positioned as an objective and pure discipline. However, the content and the context in which it is taught, that's how they obscure it by saying content versus context, the mathematicians who are celebrated and the importance that is placed upon mathematics by society are subjective. No, The importance placed upon mathematics is not subjective. It is objectively true that if you get the math wrong when building a bridge, that bridge is going to collapse and people are going to die. That is an objective truth. If you get the math wrong on a rocket launch, the rocket is going to blow up and the astronauts are going to die. That is an objective truth. So it continues. Mathematics has been used to normalize racism and marginalization of non-Eurocentric mathematical knowledges, and a decolonial anti-racist approach to mathematics education makes visible its historical roots in social constructions. None of that makes sense. That is not a sentence that actually makes any sense. It doesn't achieve anything. It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. It's just a bunch of large words that a lot of stupid fucking 19-year-olds that are freshmen in college and still in their years of teenage angst are going to hear, and they're going to sound like they're smart because they pretend to understand it. They're going to sound like they're smart because they pretend to understand it. They're going to go along with it, and then they're going to go home and they're going to call their parents racist for saying that 2 + 2 = 4. So the 2021 curriculum advocates for students to develop healthy and strong identities in an inclusive classroom. What does identities have to do with math? Math is numbers. Math is numbers. And it's numbers and functions. So it emphasizes the need to recognize and challenge systems of power and privilege inside and outside the classroom. This has nothing to do with math. This is called communism. This is called social activism. This is called leftist social Marxist activism. Inside and outside the classroom, to eliminate systemic barriers and to serve students belonging to groups that have been historically disadvantaged and underserved in mathematics education. And that is exactly what, because Karl Marx looked at everything as a dialectic of history. He looked at everything as a dialectic of history. So math is no longer an objective function of numbers and operations. It is now devolved into a historical context that can be related to minorities or some sort of, whether racial or sexual or whatever, geographic, whatever you want to call it. They have taken something that is purely functional and turned it into a Marxist subjectivity marathon. So the introduction cites research indicating sexual and ethnic minorities and those with disabilities experience systemic barriers to access high-level instruction in and support with learning mathematics. No, there's no systemic barrier to that. Some places value math, or some cultures value math, others don't. Systemic barriers such as racism, implicit bias, and other forms of discrimination can result in inequitable academic and life outcomes. And that right there, that is the key right there. Because the left, they never subscribe to equality, which means equality of opportunity. They always subscribe to equity, which is the equality of outcomes, which they say right here. They're saying the quiet part loudly here. They're finally saying the quiet part loudly, that this is all about the outcomes. So, such as low confidence in one's ability to learn mathematics, that is a personal problem. Low confidence is a personal problem. It's not a systemic problem. Reduced rates of credit completion, again, a personal problem. You either achieve it or you do not, based on how you apply yourself. And leaving the secondary school system prior to earning a diploma. Again, that is a personal choice. Mathematics teachers have to promote cross-curricular learning and teach about human rights to create anti-racist, anti-discriminatory learning environments. This has nothing to do with math. This has nothing to do with math being racist. To develop a strong understanding of mathematics and the ability to apply mathematics in real life, all students must feel that they are connected to the curriculum, to what is taught, why it is taught, and to how it is taught. That is an absolute fucking falsehood. I never had to feel connected culturally to math, which is, again, just a form of function, in order to learn that form of function. Man, I mean, it's these people are insane, and now we're seeing the real life, the real life issues with how all of this intersectionality is going to affect us. So we have this new report. Navy is not ready for war because sailors are forced to focus on diversity training, with officers blaming poor leadership for destruction of warship, 2 collisions, and the surrender of U.S. boats to Iran. A scathing report finds. So, a scathing new report commissioned by members of Congress has claimed that the Navy's surface warfare forces have systemic training and leadership issues, including a focus on diversity that overshadows basic readiness skills. The report, prepared by Marine Lieutenant General Robert Schmidl and Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery, both retired, came in response to recent naval disasters, including the burning of the USS Bonhomme Richard in San Diego, 2 collisions involving Navy ships in the Pacific, and the surrender of 2 small crafts to Iran. We had to surrender 2 of our Navy vessels to Iran. Holy shit. Oh, we got Thane Michael in here. It says, Leighton Super Straight. What's up, bro? Welcome back. The authors conducted hour-long interviews with 77 current and retired Navy officers, offering them anonymity to identify issues they wouldn't feel comfortable raising in the chain of command. So the report found a staggering 94% of the subjects believed the recent naval disasters were part of a broader problem in Navy culture and leadership. So I guarantee you every unit in the Navy is up to speed on their diversity training. I'm sorry that I can't say the same about their ship handling training, said one recent retired senior enlisted leader. The report focused on issues within the Navy's surface warfare forces as opposed to submarine and aviation, and suggested that issues in the surface fleet could be unique due to better funding and training for marine and aviation units. One of the key issues raised by the officers interviewed for the report was a concern that Navy leaders spend more time focusing on diversity training than on developing warfighting capacity and key operational skills. Sometimes I think we care more about whether we have enough diversity officers than if we'll survive a fight with the Chinese Navy, lamented one lieutenant currently on active duty. It's criminal. They think my only value is as a black woman, but you cut our ship open with a missile and we'll all bleed the same color. Yes, absolutely. I mean, and this is why we always point out that anti-racism is the true racist agenda, because this black lady right here, she says the only value that I have is the color of my skin. That's what she's saying. She's saying the only value that I bring is that I'm black and I'm a woman. The color of my vagina is the only thing that matters to the Navy. But yeah, if you cut a missile open with a rocket, yeah, you're all going to bleed the same color. So one recent destroyer captain said, where someone puts their time shows where their priorities are. And we've got so many messages about XYZ Appreciation Month or sexual assault prevention or you name it. We don't have even close to that same level of emphasis on actual war fighting. While programs to encourage diversity, human sex trafficking prevention, suicide prevention, sexual assault prevention, and others are appropriate, they come with a cost, the report's authors wrote. The non-combat curricula consume Navy resources, clog inboxes, create administrative quagmires, and monopolize precious training time. By weighing down soldiers with non-combat related training and administrative burdens, both Congress and Navy leaders risk sending them into battle less prepared and less focused than their opponents, the report added. Some of the respondents expressed concerns when the combat lethality and warfighting are emphasized. They are treated like a box-checking manner that can seem indistinguishable from non-combat related exercises. So they are it's basically the over-institutionalization of the process. So the Navy treats warfighting readiness as a compliance issue, said one career commander. You might even use the term compliance-centered warfare as opposed to adversary-centered warfare or warfighter-centered warfare. Yeah, that is not a recipe for winning a fucking war. So one junior surface warfare officer said on active duty, confessed, I don't think that the surface community see themselves as people who are engaged in a fight. I don't think that most people who focus on diversity or all of this diversity training stuff, no matter what their field is, actually see themselves as focusing on that field. They are always that the field that they are trying to work upon actually becomes a tangent against the diversity and inclusion and equity agenda that is being pushed on the larger spectrum. I mean, oh yeah, guys, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm officially fired from the fucking school. I guess it's not official till July 20th. But one of the things that I guess became an issue is they were talking about wanting to make the film department an anti-racist department. I'm sitting there like, what the fuck does anti-racism have to do with running a camera or lighting a scene? Like, this is supposed to be a technical class that teaches people how to use equipment, but you're going to be focused on anti-racism. So you subvert the actual means for what students are paying their tuition for. Instead, you give them political indoctrination. This can be applied. The same theory can be applied, as we see here, with the Navy or any other field. When you are focusing on these diversity measures, when you're focused on these equity and inclusion efforts, you are going to be putting in the back seat the true core mission of whatever organization you are working for. So Commander Brian McGrath, a retired surface warfare officer who agreed to be interviewed on the record, notably dissented on the question on whether excess requirements were distracting sailors from their primary mission. Argued that the main issue was too few surface ships. The ships are very busy, he said. I think there are too few of them for what is being asked, he argued. The operational requirements squeeze out maintenance. Okay, so that he seems to be the minority of the 6% of the, of the whole. I think he was probably like one of two or three, I think. Yeah, that would have made him like one of two people out of the entire of the 77 that dissented. So it would have been like 75 to 77, saying 75 to 2. I mean. So report condemns Navy's paralyzing zero defect mentality. Another issue identifying the report is the overly timid practice of treating certain errors with career termination and offering no opportunity for recovery. Former Secretary of the Navy John Lehman made the startling claim that of the 4 key admirals who led the Navy to victory in World War II, none of them would make the rank of captain in today's fleet. Nimitz put his first command on the rocks, Lehman said, and Halsey was constantly getting into trouble for bending the rules and drinking too much. Ernie King was a womanizer and a heavy drinker. Admiral Leahy may be the only one that might have made it through, but he had quite a few blots on his record as well, said Lehman. But in each case, there was a critical mass of leadership in the Navy that recognized that these were very, very promising junior officers, said the World War he said of the World War II admirals. And so, while they were punished for their mistakes, they were kept on a career path. That's not the case today. It's just not done because it's too dangerous for anybody that tries to help someone who has made a mistake. And we see this. This is kind of part and parcel with the whole encroachment of Marxism, because Marxism and communism, it believes it is in pursuit of a utopia, which is a perfect society. And so it demands that its adherents also be perfect. So communism is in part a pursuit of perfection. And you will, because we are human, because we're all flawed, because we all have, we're born a fallen species, we are always going to have flaws to us, and you have to have some sort of ability to accept and some sort of grace and mercy for the human flaws that are inherent to all of us. I mean, at the end of the day, those who hold others to standards of perfections are, basically throwing stones in glass houses, because we all know that they are not perfect either. But they demand perfection, and that is part and parcel with the Marxist agenda because it is in pursuit of the perfect society. We need to accept the fact that we will never have a perfect society and that people will never be perfect. We all have our flaws. We all have our character traits. We all have the shit that we're ashamed of. So officers interviewed for the report echoed Lehman's concern that the practice of firing commanders for the smallest mistakes was a drag on retention, morale, and lethality. Commanders can no longer take risks in a way that they they can no longer take risks in a way that they can have small failures, learn, and move forward, said one sailor. Failures are terminal to people's careers. These are guys that are totally zero risk, one former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense who served as a surface warfare officer said of the surface warfare community. Yeah, how are you going to win a war if you are completely risk averse? You can't. You're always going to fall prey to paralysis by analysis, and that there in and of itself will be your own failure. That will be the greatest mistake that you ever make. with every give, there is a take. There are trade-offs to everything. If you take a risk, there's also a reward at the end of the tunnel. If you don't take any risks, there's no fucking reward. You cannot win. You cannot win. So because they're like, hey, I'm going to be the commanding officer for 15 months, why try to get to the battle? Why try to do really important boardings in the Middle East? I'm just going to make sure I'm talking to the admiral over the VTC and make sure that he's there, that he's for it. And I just found that to be really sad. The report argues that the independence of command has eroded and commanding officers fear risk due to its adverse impact upon their careers. The general unwillingness to rehabilitate one-off mistakes, the disinclination to weigh errors against the totality of a Navy career, and the practice of discipline by paperwork were broadly understood to be a drain on the Navy's retention efforts. Now, I don't want to keep... This is getting long, so I want to move on from this article, but just real quickly, Navy leadership are also paranoid about the negative press, and they cow to reporters. So it's again, this cycle, and I think this is the important part to read here. The military, not just the Navy, has been slow to acknowledge the realities of the new media. Commanders do not appear to understand that stories come in a flash and disappear just as quickly. Many news outlets, including defense news outlets, have shifted to tabloid models where stories are sensationalized and short-lived. The Navy has forgotten how to differentiate between stories that are ignorable and stories that they demand corrective measures, or that demand corrective measures. Another said, cites underinvestment in officer training and poorly resourced ship maintenance. So this was shocking here. So at one point, the Navy even handed officers 23 compact discs with reading material for surface warfare wardroom training, replacing a 5-month course at the Surface Warfare Officer School Division's officer course in Rhode Island. We gave ensigns boxes of CDs and told them to train themselves between watches, and that was a colossal failure. Yeah, of course that's a colossal failure. What the fuck were you thinking? One respondent recalled that he had informed his admiral, I've got people that I know for certain are not proficient in watch standing. And you know what they told me? Qualify them anyways. So, and it also says that the report, Navy is ill prepared for a major conflict with China. So, yeah, this is bad news. This is bad news, and this is going to be this is going to be part and parcel with our whole military. I mean, we saw what was it? The Russians put out some badass military commercial, or some Russian guy who was jumping out of a helicopter, landing. He's all fucking grit, and he's got his AK-47, and he's firing, doing all this shit. The Chinese are saying that they're out there making fucking hyper-masculine super soldiers, saying that we need to push hyper-masculinity with our men. And what is America putting out? We put out a fucking Navy ad, Army ad about how a soldier was proud of her 2 mothers. We're fucking doomed. We're fucking doomed. This is all by design, too. This is all by design. If the Soviet communists got anything right, it was the softness and decadence of the West. And we have only gotten softer and more decadent as time has gone on. Oh, my God. All right, now, I want to talk real quick, going on from that story. We got Cuba, man. Cuba is rising up. Cuba rising. Will they be able to have their own revolutionary front? Now, it's funny because you will see the president of Cuba keeps talking about the communist establishment in Cuba continuing to be the revolution. Because the revolution for communists is a never-ending thing. Because communism, like I said in the last article, is the pursuit of a utopia. But utopia does not actually mean the perfect place. It actually means no place. It does not exist. It does not exist. So that's why we always see, going back to what I said even earlier, at first they said, oh, we just want gay rights. Okay, yeah, we just want gay rights. And then they get their gay rights. And next is, all right, well, we just want transgenders now. And now we want to trans the kids. Now we want dildo butt monkey, the fagaloonus bamboonus, reading to your fucking kids, because the revolution never ends. There is no fallacy to the slippery slope. The slippery slope is the mode of operation for the left, because they are in pursuit of something they will never achieve. What's that saying? Christians go to heaven, socialists go to communism. because you cannot achieve communism on Earth. It is not an achievable goal. So socialism is the perpetual pursuit of communism, therefore making it, practically speaking, one and the same. Socialism and communism are not indifferent because communism is not achievable on Earth. But Cuba is now cracking down on the demonstrations, and dissidents say that police are arresting, beating, and killing protesters. So Cuba's dictatorial government is reportedly cracking down on massive pro-democracy demonstrations, with dissidents and allies now saying that Cuban police are arresting, beating, and killing protesters. No surprise there, because that's the mode of operation for communists. So the what was it? Joseph Stalin said, what is it? Death is the solution to all problems. No man, no problem. That's exactly what we see here. So the Associated Press reported Tuesday that Cuban police are beefing up patrols, allegedly at the behest of Cuba's president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, who has made clear he will respond to the pro-democracy movement with force. An internet blackout, however, has descended on the country, making stories of Cuban officials' response to the protest difficult to confirm, the AP noted. Authorities appear determined to put a stop to the demonstrations. More than a dozen protesters were detained, including a leading Cuban dissident who was arrested trying to attend the march in the city of Santiago, 559 miles east. The demonstrators disrupted traffic in the capital for several hours until some threw rocks and police moved in and broke them up, the AP reported. The internet service was spotty. Okay, so basically, all right, so we got some videos here of what's going on. Oh, I guess I thought that was more than that. See, they're beating up all the protesters. Was there one further up? Oh, no, okay, maybe I'm thinking of another article. They're all yelling "Libertad," which is freedom. They're all out there yelling "Libertad." Oh, we got the doll huck in here. What is up? Have not seen you in here in a while. It says, "Wow, I'm late and gay as hell. Been busy lately." Well, good to have you back in here. But then the New York Times, the fucking rag that is the New York Times, comes out and says that freedom is an anti-government slogan. The New York Times, I think they also supported the Nazis. They supported Hitler back in the day too. They supported. They actually helped motivate the communist revolution in China, which we'll get to in just a second. So, the New York Times described the chance of freedom at thousands-strong peaceful protests in Cuba on Sunday as one of several anti-government slogans popular among the congregated. The Times also erroneously reported the protests were about food and medicine shortages. Yes, and we have been hearing this, that, they're protesting because of COVID. No, the fuck they're not. No, they're not. These people are protesting over 60 fucking years of communist dictatorial rule. This has nothing to do with COVID. Nobody gives a fuck about no COVID. COVID's done. We don't give a shit about COVID. So, shouting freedom and other anti-government slogans, hundreds of Cubans took to the streets in cities around the country on Sunday to protest food and medicine shortages in a remarkable eruption of discontent not seen in nearly 30 years. So they're also trying to frame this as that there has not been discontent with the Cuban government for over 30 years. That's absolute nonsense. So in reality, the thousands of protesters used slogans against socialism and communism to make clear the political nature of their demand. The end of communism on the island. Yes, that is it. That is the whole fucking thing is about communism. End that shit. So the Times coverage also included weaponizing Cuban disinformation by suggesting communist Cuba's long-standing economic problems stem from American trade embargo, which cuts off its access to financing and imports. Yeah, I've heard some people say that it was, some of you have been blaming Trump. They've been saying Trump's economic embargo. The economic embargo has been around since the 1960s, since the Kennedy administration. Yet, Barack Obama came in there and just flouted the rule of law by loosening things. He didn't actually loosen things up in any sort of legal sense. He just kind of ignored the law to a degree and loosened things up with Cuba. Trump came back in there and tightened them back up. And then they're going to blame Trump for this whole thing. No. This embargo has been in place since the Kennedy administration. Get the fuck out of here. These people think we're stupid, and they prey on our poor educational system to think that we are uneducated rubes and talk down to us. So, in a televised remark, the Times persisted. Diaz-Canel said the protests were a form of systemic provocation by dissidents doing the bidding of the United States. Within hours of the extraordinary events, the president broke into national television programming to urge government supporters to hit the streets and confront the protesters, the Times reported. Does that not sound just a little bit like Maxine Waters? Does that not sound just a little bit like Maxine Waters, where she said, if you do not convict Derek Chauvin on first-degree murder charges, we will riot more. We will confront more. Does that not sound like her a couple years ago when she said, if you see a Trump supporter at a gasoline station, who the fuck's this gasoline station anyways, that you need to confront them, get in their face, and tell them you are not welcome here. We have people in our own government that support these tactics, that operate along these tactics, and then they want to cry foul when Donald Trump they want to call him a fascist dictator when he doesn't invoke the Insurrection Act despite how many fucking months of leftist communist riots going on coast to coast across our entire fucking city or country? No. These people are disingenuous. They are liars. They will fabricate everything. They will do everything they can to rile up their core base under dishonest premises in order to achieve their political ends. Fuck them. Oh, you got Chrissy in here. What is up, Chrissy? How you doing today? So this is interesting here too. I did not know this until I read the article. The Times has historically been sympathetic to the Castro regime. In the 1950s, while most Cubans supported efforts against then-President Fulgencio Batista, organized by the more popular leaders, New York Times reporter Herbert Matthews published flattering and false reports praising Fidel Castro and his band of Marxists. Matthews' reports beginning in 1957 portrayed Castro as a freedom fighter seeking to restore democracy to the island nation and made him appear far more popular than he was on the island. Shelly Shell says, preach, Ram, preach. Sorry. Yeah, going off. I'm going off on these motherfuckers. So, Matthews' articles dignified Castro's image, giving him credibility both at home and abroad, helping propel his rise to power. Upon Castro's success establishing a revolutionary socialist state in 1959, which apparently the revolution is still underway because you will never get to that communist. You're always socialist until you get to communism, but you never get to communism until you fucking die because it's not actually feasible. It does not actually work on Earth. The laws of nature do not allow communism to be a real thing. So, upon Castro's success, Castro claimed in New York City his greatest ploy was fooling Matthews. Castro's admitted he only had 20 men left at the time Matthews' publications, but convinced Matthews he had control of a huge army. Matthews' observations backed this as he wrote, "From the look of things, General Batista cannot possibly hope to suppress the Castro revolt." The New York Times, being a fucking dim-witted, a dim-witted shill for the fucking Castro regime, which, of course, we all know. Fidel Castro died with a $900 million net worth, his own private whore island, and just lavishness beyond any of our wildest imaginations, while his people fucking starved. Because that's the thing. There are useful idiots, and there are opportunists. Communists are always disingenuous or fucking retarded. Chelly Chell says, never apologize. You are saying what we all say, but do not have a platform to do. So I think, oh yeah, no, I didn't really mean to apologize. I don't apologize for going off. I don't apologize for going off. I was at a frog in my throat. Let's see here. Chrissy says, they won't tell you in liberal news that they say it's COVID. Oh, I know. So disingenuous. Such bullshit. Whitney Rose says, Let the Cuban protesters come to the U.S., and for every Cuban who comes here, we can send a Bernie bro to Cuba in their place. It's a win-win for everyone. Yes, Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez can go on down to Cuba and live her socialist dream. We don't fucking want her here. All right. Let's see. Testing Rousseau says, are they wrong on that one? If the government is a communist dictatorship, isn't a cry for freedom anti-government? I mean, you have to understand the framing devices that they're using. You can't necessarily say that in terms. So when they say that freedom is a anti-government cry, they're framing that in the way that Americans are going to be anti-government if we believe in freedom. Freedom is not anti-government in essence. I mean, you can still have freedom while there is a state. It is the Marxists that say, what was it? Lenin said, while there is a state, there can be no freedom. When there is freedom, there will be no state. So they are not mutually exclusive. So it's really actually the communist understanding to say that freedom is an anti-government slogan. That actually you have to have a communist understanding of what freedom means, not a liberty-based idea of what freedom means. So in order to say that. So, yeah, and then we have Forbes here. Cuba's food shortages and pandemic-fueled economic woes drive biggest protest in decades. The food shortages and economic woes are all due to the pandemic, because I seem to recall that for the longest time the average wage in Cuba is like $25 a month. That means $300 a year. These people survive on. That is not fueled by the pandemic. Cuba has been living in absolute poverty. That's why they still drive around in 1950s cars. We think it's cool because we look back at those with nostalgia. They think it sucks because they can't afford any newer cars. So, I mean, just showing more of the gaslighting. And then, even the White House, Jen Psaki here, suggests that the Cuban protest for freedom may be about vaccine access. After a weekend uprising in Cuba, with citizens of the nation taken to the streets to demand liberty and freedom, the Biden administration claimed that these citizen-led efforts had more to do with concerns over the rise of COVID cases on that island nation than the desire for a regime change. And so we can watch this right here.
And then on Cuba, you're talking today about how some of these protests are inspired by people exhausted with the government. Why is it that yesterday the State Department was saying that this was all happening out of concern about rising COVID cases?
Well, I would say first that the protests were just happening yesterday. We're still assessing what is motivating and, of course, and driving all of the individuals who came to the streets. But we know that when we say exhaustion, the manner by which the people of Cuba are governed, that can cover a range of issues, whether it's economic suppression, media suppression, lack of access to health and medical supplies, including vaccines. There are a range of reasons and voices we're hearing from people on the ground who are protesting.
So when these protesters are yelling freedom and enough, there are people within the administration who think they're saying
Peter Ducey cracks me up.
Rising COVID cases.
Again, I would say that when people are out there in the streets protesting and complaining about the lack of access to economic prosperity, to the medical supplies they need, to a life they deserve to live, that can take on a range.
So she kind of got cornered into having to admit that it really comes down also to the whole communist element. But we all know that. I mean, all of the intelligentsia, all of the establishment, all of the hoity-toity in this country, they have always had a sort of pinko sympathy for the communists. They are pinko commies. Whether they are communists themselves, they're at least pinkos in the matter. They have their sympathies for the communists, which makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. Chrissy says, yeah, they scream free while all along scaring the people into submission. I had a guy tell me they were going to destroy all you Trump supporters. I told him to come get me, Snowflake. Yeah, come make friends with... When you knock on my door and you hear that click-clack, that's just me saying, welcome, motherfucker. That's just me saying, welcome to my house, motherfucker. Come on in. Come on in and eat some. Zach Horton says, we don't have to wonder after they open their mouth. Yeah. JG Mopar says she even has the dull dead eyes. Yeah, dude, they all do. They all do. All left. You look at so many people on the left, and they are just so dead in the eyes. There's no vigor in them. They're drone-like. It's because I really do think that leftism, Marxism it's a prion disease. It is a fucking prion disease, like mad cow disease, that gets into your mind and it just eats away at any sort of ability to think. I mean, communists don't even believe in a human soul. I mean, Marx himself did not believe that humans have a soul. He just thinks that we're all just matter. We're all just material matter, with no soul, no divine purpose, nothing. So there's a reason why these people look so fucking dead in the eyes. Now, of course, Trump is backing the protesters. I got to start moving a little quickly because we're starting to get late and I got more stories to get to. So maybe I won't read Trump's... I'll just read real quick. So Trump says, big demonstrations are breaking out in Cuba and Miami in protest of the communist Cuban government. Although today there are 0 protesters in Cuba. You know what that means. Yeah, we know what that means. Don't forget that Biden and the Democrats campaigned on reversing my very tough stance on Cuba. Remember when Obama attended baseball games with the Castros while they imprisoned, beat, and killed Cuban people? I stand with the Cuban people 100% in their fight for freedom. The government must let them speak and be free. Joe Biden must stand up to the communist regime, or history will remember. The Cuban people deserve freedom and human rights. They are not afraid. Fuck no, they aren't. No. This is great. This is great to see. And then we got the Cuban people will be free. So Rep. Mario Diaz-Balart introduced this resolution to support the Cuban people and their demands for freedom against the brutal oppression of the communist dictatorship in Cuba. So I'm not going to read through all of this. I'm not going to read through a statement and everything, but he's putting forth a bill to stand by them. So we have people that are coming. It's kind of funny. I think it's all the Republicans that are signing on to this bill. I don't think we're seeing many Democrats that are signing on to these anti-Cuba measures because they are increasingly turning us into a communist dictatorship, which brings us to... I know I always bury the lead on you guys. I'm so sorry. I always do this. I always have like the thumbnail image story, and I like build up to it and get to it towards the end. And I apologize. I was trying not to do that today, but I end up having so damn much to say that it takes me longer to get through the news than I realize. I always end up with like half of my programming I never even get to. So my shows that I plan for you guys are typically twice as much material as I actually get to bring to you guys. So we have here, the Capitol Police will use military surveillance equipment on citizens to identify emerging threats. And we are starting to see the absolute increase of the police state. And we see that it's going along ideological lines because we have seen that, Merrick Garland came out and said that white supremacy, domestic terrorism is the biggest threat to this nation. They say that with a straight face while they completely ignore and just don't even press charges against thousands upon thousands upon thousands of left-wing militant activists that have been terrorizing the nation for over the past year, for all through this time last year. They wouldn't even press charges against them. They wouldn't even press charges against them. The FBI is a fucking joke at this point. I don't know if I got to it the other day, but Sebastian Gorka said that one of his sources in the FBI said that the 7th floor, the entire time Trump was in office, viewed him as the enemy. That's right. The FBI viewed the sitting president as the enemy. The FBI is a fucking joke at this point. They are the Stasi at this point. So Biden's authoritarian regime is expanding its power at an alarming rate in the aftermath of the January 6th protests, which, again, this is the burning of the Reichstag building. This is the crisis that they are using that I think was supposed to be, I think it was all pre-planned, not by Trump supporters. I think that it was a certain attack of a flag that is not true. I don't think I can say the actual term on YouTube. But you can figure out what I'm saying there. but it was planned. I think it was going to be much worse had Trump not gotten, thousands and thousands of MAGA cell phone journalists down there to actually record what was going on. The narrative is falling apart. They're having a very tough time holding, keeping all the secrets around January 6th. They're not releasing the footage. They're not showing us what happened. And then we have the absolute juxtaposition of their complete lack of enforcement of left-wing terrorists that were terrorizing the entire country for months and months on end. So anybody who has any shred of objectivity can look at the two side by side and say, this is not actual justice. Our justice system has completely crumbled. There is no rule of law. What we have now is ideologically forced imposition on the American people. We have an ideologically dispossessed or disposed. I don't know what fucking word I'm looking for. It's all ideologically driven. It's all ideologically driven. And if you're either part of the pro-establishment crowd, in which case you can get away with literally murder. You can get away with it. Doesn't matter so long as you're shooting a racist, bigoted, patriotic Trump supporter. But if you are a Trump supporter who MAGA Meemaw walks into the open building as the cops hold the door open for her, looking around in wonder as she holds an American flag, then you're a domestic fucking terrorist. Are you fucking kidding me? They're going to hold you in solitary confinement for fucking 6 months, beating you, torturing you, all this stuff. I saw an interview Milo did with Baked Alaska where Baked Alaska was talking about this stuff. He said most of the people in there didn't even realize they were doing anything wrong because they were let in there. They were allowed to go in there. The police opened the door and said things like, we saw them on video. They said, I don't support it, but I respect it, and some of them said, we had a video of them coming out and saying, all right, the police have agreed to let us in there so long as we remain peaceful, and you saw the police standing right fucking next to them. They were allowed to go in there. So they clearly, they were given permission by the police to enter the Capitol building. And then when they did, they get arrested by the FBI. The FBI runs a fucking nationwide dragnet on anybody that even had anything to do with it. They run a nationwide dragnet, arrest you, put you in solitary confinement for fucking 6 months. We are getting beaten, tortured, and abused by these inmates, or not even by the inmates, by the guards. In D.C., let's just assume most of those guards do not look like me, and they're being told that these people are white supremacists. What do you think's going to happen to them in there? Are you fucking kidding me? The rule of law is breaking down in America, ladies and gentlemen. There is very little left to it, and it all comes down. The FBI is probably more corrupt than the fucking CIA at this point. So, last week, after Nancy Pelosi announced that they would be opening state police offices in key regions across the country, the Capitol Hill Police are now being reclassified as an intelligence-based protective agency. This is fucking scary, guys. A regular police, just Capitol Police. They're now going to be a nationwide intelligence-based protective agency. They're basically creating a whole new federal agency out of the Capitol Police that are going to be all about coming after people like us, people like you, people like me, people like your mom, people like your dad. They will be given access to high-powered U.S. military surveillance equipment that is traditionally used to monitor enemy forces in war zones. Tracy James says thought police. That's exactly. So on July 2nd, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, who we really need to keep an eye on, Lloyd Austin, Honore, and Milley. Lloyd Austin, what's his name? Honore and Mark Milley. Those three right there. I think those guys are going to go down as severe traitors. So Lloyd Austin granted the use of 8 persistent surveillance systems ground medium units to the federal police force. Federal police force, ladies and gentlemen. That is what this is becoming. And do you think that, so they're opening up a couple offices. Do you think that's where it stops? No. This is going to expand. It's going to grow, and it is going to become the fucking Gestapo. Guaranteed. So The technology was frequently used in Afghanistan and Iraq to gather intelligence on enemies in hostile regions. Now it is being used to spy on and create intelligence profiles on American citizens. The Army will install the units and train USCP officers, U.S. Capitol Police officers, on how to use them. Data collection from the PSSGM units can be used to create pattern of life analysis, and its extremely high definition cameras allow it to track hundreds of moving targets in a large area over long periods of time. The Capitol Police are disclosing very few details on where or how they plan to use this equipment. Of course they're not telling us. They said in a press release that they would be sharing data between and increasing their collaboration with other law enforcement and intelligence agencies to crack down on dissenters who threaten their narrative. Fuck you, come get me. All right. The Public Information Office is now engaging with the community on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as increasing the number of news releases to keep the media and local community informed, USPC said in a press release. And now we got this. So DNC and Biden allies are pushing SMS carriers to crack down. That's text messages. To crack down on vaccine misinformation spread through private messages. The dystopian future is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get these people the fuck out of office. We need to get them out of office, and we need to shut down these fucking agencies. This is now. It's clear through what we see with the military. We don't care about being able to fight off other countries. Because we have a globalist agenda. They are trying to envelop us with all those other countries. The real war is the government against the people at this point. So the Democrat National Committee and other allies of President Joe Biden are reportedly planning to work with SMS carriers to dispel misinformation about vaccines, according to a new report. The effort, reported Monday in Politico, comes as the Biden administration struggles to boost vaccination rates after failing to meet its July 4th goal. As Politico reports, Biden-allied groups, including the Democrat National Committee, are also planning to engage fact-checkers more aggressively and work with SMS carriers to dispel information about vaccines that is sent over social media and text messages. The goal is to ensure that people who may have difficulty getting a vaccination because of issues like transportation see those barriers lessened or removed entirely. That is bullshit. That last part is what is how they try to make it sound palatable. That last part about saying that it's about making sure that people have difficulties like transportation. No. That's not at all what this is about. This is about telling people, people who are watching, say, like Alex Jones and hearing about what he's been uncovering about the vaccines. That's what they're out. That's what they're out to get. That's what they're out to get. They're not there trying to tell you, oh, how do you go get a ride to a vaccination center? Everybody fucking knows how to get to a vaccination center. You can go to any fucking Walgreens, CVS, wherever the fuck you want. Easy. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is what it's actually about. So the White House said Tuesday that it is intended to adopt. Okay, so we already talked about the door-to-door policy, and they got dragged for that. But now we got the FBI is coming out. Learn how to spot suspicious behaviors. FBI encourages Americans to snitch on their own families and friends. Oh. How long before we have the Junior Spies Association from 1984? The program where little kids would rat out their parents for being unorthodox. We are very fucking close to having that here in America. And hell, they're already fucking encouraging it. This is always a sign of communist dictatorships. This happened in the USSR. The Soviets, they would have little kids that would snitch out their parents for saying this or that against the Soviet regime, and then of course they would then be disappeared by the what do they call their Gestapo? I don't know what the fuck they called them. In Soviet Russia, I forget off the top of my head. But yeah, then they would be disappeared and sent off to Cannibal Island or some other fucking gulag. Sent off to some other gulag. And I mean, how long before we have the gulags here? So Where have we seen this before? The FBI on Sunday encouraged Americans to snitch on their own family members and friends. Family members and peers are often best positioned to witness signs of mobilization to violence. Help prevent homegrown extremism. Visit go.usa.gov/whatever to learn how to spot suspicious behaviors and report them to the FBI, the FBI said Sunday. Wow. Although the FBI surprisingly focused on Islamic terrorism, they described behaviors by other homegrown extremists to watch out for. Because the FBI's treatment of Trump supporters who attended the January 6th Capitol protests, it is clear that the feds are also encouraging people to snitch on conservative family members. Yes, absolutely. For example, the FBI views retweeting or linking to violent extremists as suspicious behavior. Violent extremists to them are QAnon and the MAGA meemaws. So, most of the behaviors listed below are perfectly described BLM and Antifa terrorists. However, the FBI totally ignores their terrorism and focuses only on MAGA grandmothers. It's just what I was fucking saying. These people, absolutely. There is no rule of law left here. There is no equal application of the law. It is all split upon ideological lines. If you are a leftist, if you are a communist, if you are a useful idiot to the pro-establishment narrative, the globalist agenda, then you can get away literally with murder. You have your charges dropped, but if you do anything as somebody on the right, they will find any excuse to come after you and destroy your life. I'm gonna go ahead and say this now because I'm already getting canned from my job, and it's beneficial. The chairman of my department that I worked for at the college called the FBI on me for running a stream on the Capitol protest. She called the FBI on me and tried to get campus police to arrest me. And campus police are like, what are you talking about? He didn't do anything. Yeah. That's how insane these people are. That is how fucking insane these people are. I found that out, and I couldn't fucking believe it. I mean, yeah, when I start talking more publicly about all the shit that I had to go through with this school, some of the shit that they were saying, whew, and when I start naming the school too, and start talking publicly about all of this shit, it is going to be, well, let's just say I'm not going to go too far into it right now. You know, I got to stop myself. But I could not believe that when I heard it. For running a stream that I was 2,500 miles away from. All right, so the DOJ is creating a database now of Americans and related data collected from the January 6th protest at the Capitol. Again, this is becoming their burning of the Reichstag building. So Americans who wanted free and fair elections are now being identified and tracked by federal government. The populist press shared an Epoch Times post this morning regarding the DOJ's recent moves. The Department of Justice has committed to paying over $6 million to a multinational firm to create a database to host the reams of data prosecutors are gathering in cases against accused participants of the January 6th riot at the Capitol. Hold on, Jelly Chell says, Ram, I'm with you 100%. I got railroaded by a district as well years ago. Long and traumatic story. Yeah, oh yeah. Man, these people are fucking nuts. Goddamn lunatics. I rant and rave. But this is just like my outlet where I just, I rant and rave. I don't go out and do anything. I mean, I don't go out and like get violent and do all kinds of shit like Antifa does. I just sit here and rant and rave on the internet, I'm not actually a lunatic. I just rant and rave like one sometimes. So Deloitte Finance. Okay, I'm not going to get into all of this because we're running short on time. But so yeah, now they're creating databases of any American who had anything to do with January 6th. So if you were there, you're on a database. Now the Biden administration's top priority is to arrest and punish anyone who objects to their un-American, unconstitutional agenda. The Biden administration has made going after domestic terrorists their top priority. Of course, to them, domestic terrorists only come from one ideological wing. Nicholas Giordano, professor of political science and host of the PAS Report, joined Steve Malzberg at RT America to explain why he is alarmed. I'm only going to play like about 2 minutes of this.
The national strategy is designed to coordinate and provide a principled path for the federal government's efforts to counter the heightened domestic terrorism threat using all available tools. It is the culmination of an effort undertaken at the President's direction by federal agencies all across the government.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland laying out the Biden administration's strategy for combating domestic terrorism. My next guest calls it nothing more than a massive power grab with total disregard for the Constitution. We welcome in Nicholas Giordano, professor of political science and host of the PAS Report. Professor, great to have you. Thank you so much. I just want our audience to see one more clip from Garland as well. Watch.
From the Justice Department to the Departments of Homeland Security, Defense, State, Health and Human Services, and others.
These others, Professor, now apparently include the media. We'll get to that in a bit, but tell us why we should be concerned with this domestic terrorism strategy.
Well, thank you for having me, Steve. And basically, all the clips that you played show exactly why I'm concerned. This document refers to ideas of anti-government, anti-authority, that they don't define within the document, but they say that that could be classified as domestic terrorism. So if you criticize government, if you criticize government policies, that could be a consideration to be labeled as a domestic terrorist. And it says anyone that incites domestic terrorism. And once again, we see there's no definition towards incitement. So you just played a clip about people saying that the American flag is a symbol of hate, that waving the American flag now could be considered incitement. And this is used as nothing more than a political weapon to bludgeon political opponents. That's what this document is going to be used for. And everyone should be concerned, regardless of political party.
Exactly. Because you can be on the ins today and on the outs tomorrow, but when you stood by and you cheered and celebrated when they went after your political opponents and you did not realize that you were next, you will get no sympathy from anybody when you actually become the next. And a lot of these people on the radical left, they don't realize that they are useful idiots. That when the power actually gets usurped and their usefulness is done, they will no longer be getting the passes that they have been getting. They needed it to. They needed it in order to foment a fervor against Trump. They needed it was useful to them. Notice how we haven't had the same level of rioting this year, which we were supposed to. But well, I don't know if we were supposed to or not, but the whole thing was about using those people to destabilize things under Trump. Now that they don't need them anymore, watch. If they started rioting again, I bet you'll start seeing these people get arrested. You saw Lori Lightfoot. She said, no, we do not want any Trump. We do not want any of Trump's federal troops coming in here, the National Guard coming in here, and now she's begging Joe Biden for those federal troops. So, yeah, it was all about Trump. It was all about one single man who was duly elected. It was all about undermining him. They allowed cities to be burned, businesses to be destroyed, people to be murdered, all so that they could take down their political opposition. Absolutely disgusting. Now, this doctor on CNN, the Biden administration should tell Americans, if you don't get the jab, you have to sign these forms and get twice weekly testing. Now, this woman was also the president of Planned Parenthood. Wow, surprise, surprise that she's an authoritarian communist cunt.
I think this really depends on what it is that we do at this point. So now we have this Delta variant that is much more contagious. Because it's more contagious, it's going to be even harder for us to reach herd immunity. We're going to have to vaccinate an even higher proportion of people to get there. What happens then if we end up having another variant developing that's even more contagious, that could cause more disease, that could evade the protection of our immune system? And so how quickly we get this under control and which way we go depends on what we do now when it comes to vaccination, to overcoming disinformation. And what we really need to do at this point is to make vaccination the easy choice. It needs to be hard for people to remain unvaccinated. Right now, it's kind of the opposite. It's fine. I mean, it's easy if you're unvaccinated. You can do everything you want to do anyway. But at some point, these mandates by workplaces, by schools, I think it will be important to say, hey, you can opt out, but if you want to opt out, you have to sign these forms. You have to get twice weekly testing. Basically, we need to make getting vaccinated the easy choice. That is what it's going to take for us to actually end the pandemic.
All right, Dr. Lena Wen, Max Booth.
So make life hard on you until you comply. That sounds precisely like an authoritarian right there. Either do what we say or we're going to make life hard on you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, my God. Atom Bomb, I think you're new here, said the sound of her condescending voice is unbearable. Yes, absolutely. Fuck her. Welcome to the Revved Up Rebel Nation, Atom Bomb. We are just towards the tail end of the show here, but anyways, I wanted to cover one last thing before we get going here. The fucking Texas Democrats load up on alcohol and flee to Washington, D.C. to stop the election integrity vote. These Democrats, because they have no understanding of optics, also chartered a private jet to do so. And then they wonder why we say that the Democrat Party consists of out-of-touch elitists. They charter a private jet to abscond from their duties in order to hold up a quorum, a vote on election integrity laws. Because to the Democrats, election integrity means we will be stealing from them their ability to cheat. And I had some stuff to get to on the election stuff today. I'm not going to be able to get to it. I got to keep these things under 2 hours, and I'm at 1:50 right now. So the Texas Democrat lawmakers loading up on alcohol and fleeing the state of Texas to stop a vote on the Republican election integrity bills that are expected to pass both houses in the legislature. The lawmakers loaded up on alcohol before fleeing the state for Washington, D.C. like the cowards they are. They plan to deny Republicans a quorum, meaning the legislature will not have enough voters to convene a vote. The special session lasts 30 days, but the Democrats plan to stay in D.C. for an extended period of time. Here's a case of beer spotted on their bus as they travel to their plane, as tweeted by a Republican House Speaker Dade Fallon's communications director, Enrique Marquez. Fallon said that he will use every available resource under the Texas Constitution and the unanimously passed House rules to secure a quorum. The Democrats can be arrested for this conduct for violating the Texas Constitution by abdicating their duties to have 2/3 presence in the state legislature. Republicans are probably going to get the Texas Department of Public Safety to locate the fugitives and force them to return, possibly by having them arrested. Look, I mean, and look at this bus. They get some luxury bus here. They got wood floors. You see wood grain overhead compartments and a good old case of beer. Why am I not surprised that most of them are women, by the way? Sorry, ladies. I know a lot of base ones out there, but holy shit. Not surprised. Now, of course, Governor Abbott comes out and says that they will be arrested. So I'm not going to read all this because, like I said, I am short on time. But here they said, Texas Democrat, we flew private because everybody wants to see us together. No, bitch. You flew private because you guys are corrupt Democrats and you all wanted to be together. Nobody gave a fuck about seeing you together. Nobody cared. So Texas State Rep Trey Fisher claimed that dozens of Democrat lawmakers who fled Texas Monday needed to fly private because everybody wants to see them together. Oh, get over yourselves. On CNN, Fisher defended him and his colleagues' decision to hire private jets, blah, 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 blah. You know what? I'm not even going to go through all that. They hired private jets. They chartered fancy fucking buses in order to make a big fucking show out of flouting the Constitution in Texas. And then they go in, they get to D.C. And listen to this. So Democrat lawmakers who fled from Texas in an attempt to stop an election integrity bill from passing broke out into song in a cringeworthy video clip from their Capitol Hill press conference. Because, of course, they had to hold a big old press conference because, look at me, I'm a Democrat, fuck you. So the lawmakers performed a toe-curling rendition of We Shall Overcome. Are you kidding me? How self-righteous are these people? What are the limits to their self-grandiose, self-aggrandizing personal image? How fucking important do these people think they are to themselves? You got to see this, though. Where's the video? Hold on. Okay, here we go.
Standing there when a new Voting Rights Act for this century is there, and the rights that were struggled, that so many lives were taken, so much courage was demonstrated, are preserved once again. I turn it back over to you for the questions, and thank you very much for all that you and all of your colleagues are doing here today.
Thank you.
We will overcome. We will overcome. We will overcome someday. Deep in our heart, I do believe we will overcome.
Oh my God. I mean, how fucking cringe is that? How cringe is that? And then this fucking guy, this guy comes out. Texas Rep. Gene Wu received a flurry of backlash after boasting on Twitter that he was recognized and applauded in Washington, D.C. after seeing his fleeing his state to protest an election integrity bill. Landed safely in D.C., officially out of arrest jurisdiction of Governor Abbott. It was wonderful to randomly run into people who recognized me and applauded what we were doing, Wu tweeted after fleeing Texas. Nobody recognized this guy. Nobody applauded him. Nobody. This guy's just a fucking douchebag. So, you can see him right here. You see people mocking him. Texas Democrat loves being recognized in Washington, D.C. from Richard Grinnell. Yeah. Now we got this guy in D.C. having the time of my life with a bunch of supporters. They're all just out of frame applauding me. Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And then he actually went so far as to say something like, so somebody said, if Democrats turn the state, I assure you no progressive legislation will pass. Okay. Simply, because the GOP will simply break quorum and leave the state. And he says, deal. Let's try to figure this out in 2023. Help us get the majority and I'll drive the truck. Republicans can stand in the road. So he's talking about running over Republicans now. This fucking guy. These fucking Democrats. Fuck them. They are the worst. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for tonight. Again, the next show is going to be Saturday as opposed to Thursday. Like I said, I completely forgot tomorrow's my birthday, and so I've got some stuff planned over the next couple days, and gonna be making some of my Nashville hot chicken, which I love my Nashville hot chicken. Might decide to open up a restaurant for Nashville hot chicken, man. One day we'll have to have a Revved Up Rebel Nation get together and we'll make some of that shit. Man, you guys will love it. But anyways, I'm getting carried away. Don't forget to like this video. Help me out with the algorithms. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Come back. I will be back on Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And until then, rev your engines, ride hard, and fight like hell.